Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the weekly Nintendo News Roundup Live, where the All-In crew breaks down the weekend Nintendo news every Friday night, live on youtube.com/All-In Podcast, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Happy to be here with you tonight, man. Good to be
I'm
here with
happy to
you.
be here as well. I mean, I love the fact that we do these on Fridays because it's a great way to slide into the weekend. A great little 2-day reprieve from the arduous life that we all lead, and hopefully get to dive into some fun escapism
Yeah, man.
via video games. So
Yeah, man. We get to
happy to
sit
be here
here
with
and
everybody.
talk about Nintendo and do it live with everybody watching us and hanging out. And yeah, it's super, super great. Appreciated reprieve, but you know what else we appreciate, Eric?
I know we appreciate some people very, very much. I know
We do.
appreciate you, but honestly, I think I might appreciate these people more.
That's fair. We definitely appreciate our patrons. Patreon.com
Absolutely.
slash all in podcast. Big thanks, special thanks to Solo Something for upgrading to the Triforce tier this week. Thank you very much for that, Solo. We appreciate you for doing that. That's right. He's now one of the Triforce tier. He's going to get a custom Discord emote in the server. He is also going to get he's also going to be able to get a discount on our merch at bit.ly/all-in-merch. You can get a shirt or a mug or a sticker like the mug Eric's holding up right now if you're watching us on the video feed. So big thanks to Solo. He's been supporting us for a long time and upgraded to that ultimate tier, and we appreciate you very much, my friend. But we still have to thank the rest of our amazing patrons, especially our Golden Banana Bunch like Rob Yapel, Third Strongest Mole, Sean O. Baggins, Ashton, Tim A, aka Neo Prime 33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4, Matt Shy Guy City Murray, Phelan Ward, Bill Tucker, Marcus O'Neill, Liam D, Bowza, Gamer Jason, and Andrew Wilkins. Thank you very much to our Golden Banana Bunch. But moving on to our Triforce tier.
Da-na-na-na.
Thank you so much to Josh Vaughn, the godfather of Tingle Love Tuesday, to John Datfast Cummins of the Retrologic Podcast, so it's the On Topic Retro Podcast, the Globetrotting Jet Setting Nintendo Hub and Sparky of the Nintendo Hub here on YouTube, to Adam Caparello of the Retro Groove Podcast, which just wrapped up its second season, as well as the Octorock 1982 YouTube channel, Shy Guy, the other half of our Shy Guy Mod Squad. Thank you, Shy Guy. Danielina Hosa, Dan and Luma, the newly recruited Triforce tier members Solo Something, and the legend himself,
The man who is Friday in human form, Uncle Randy.
I like that. Uncle Randy is Friday in human form. We love and appreciate you, Uncle Randy. Thank you all so much for your continued love and support. You guys can head over to patreon.com/allinpodcast and join their ranks. Get a bunch of exclusive content, 2 exclusive podcasts that we do every single week. All In Side Quest this week was Eric and I breaking down our predictions and speculation around Summer Game Fest. And we'll see next week how wrong we were.
Yeah, we're trying to speed run something that is going to age terribly.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I imagine the news roundup live next week is going to be very Summer Game Fest heavy indeed. So we'll see exactly how wrong we were.
Yes. But it was a lot of fun. You should definitely go check it out, especially if you are a Golden Banana or a Triforce tier patron, and a very good reason to become one of those yourself. We have so much fun with Side Quest. We have done dozens of them already, and you get access to every single one once you add yourself to one of those tiers.
That's right. We also have the $2 Hero Cast that I do every single week, where it's basically a Q&A, see what's rattling around in my head on a Sunday morning, and you guys throw some questions my way. I really appreciate you guys for engaging with that. A lot of fun exclusive content on Patreon every single week. Not too shabby for a couple of dudes, if I do say so myself. Almost 100 episodes, I think, between the 2 of those shows. Yeah. So very, very cool, man. Anyways, appreciate that. Appreciate any 5-star reviews, likes here on YouTube, positive comments. We appreciate that. Help us climb the ranks. If you're listening on the podcast feed, leave us that 5-star review. Appreciate you very much.
Yeah, if you could, as a matter of fact, send some good juju our way. Send some good juju Seth's way specifically. Seth, you've had a day, haven't you, man?
It's been a long day. I'll be honest with you. So yeah, before we get into the news, I'll just regale you a little bit with my long day today. So,
I don't mean to laugh. I really.
It's not too bad. It's just been a long day, but it kind of started in earnest last night as we're recording this. Again, we record this live Fridays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/allinpodcast. Last night, Diablo 4 went live, and I understand that Diablo 4 is not a Nintendo game. Sue me. It's fine. I'm going to talk about it. This is probably the only chance I'll get to talk about it until way later, and probably will be on side quests. So
probably
for now, I'll talk about it here. I paid for the stupid edition. I got the highest tier, the $100 edition, because it gave me early access to the game. I was able to play the game on Thursday night when the wide release isn't until Tuesday.
You thought?
Yeah. Now here's what ended up happening, and this was specifically on the PS5, which is where I bought the game. The PS5 version had a very specific bug where it would not verify your game license, and so people were finding these crazy workarounds, like, yeah, if you go on the storefront and buy something else on the store, it'll like show that you have a license. I'm like, guess what? I did buy something on the store. It's called $100 Diablo 4. I did buy it. So, anyways, they addressed it pretty quickly on PS5. I was able to play within about 2 hours of like that, so that wasn't too bad. It didn't hold a candle at all to the Diablo 3 days where I took the day off work when I worked at GameStop and wasn't able to play all day. So not nearly that bad. However, played pretty late into the night with some of the carpool gaming folks. Go to bed. Knew I had to wake up early because shoutouts to Drew Agnew of the House of Mario. Recorded the House of Mario with him and guested on his show. I don't know when that's going live, but tune into the House of Mario and you'll hear me on there soon. And he lives in Australia, so I had to wake up supremely early to link up with him. And I happened to wake up a little bit earlier than anticipated, so I texted him. I'm like, hey, dude, I happen to be awake a little early. Let's knock this out. He's like, yeah, great, And we get together, and Drew and I end up talking for 4 hours, which is great. I had a great time chatting with him. Like, the time flew by. Like, it wasn't even like one of those things where, like, oh my God, looking at my watch. It wasn't like that at all. Like, it was, oh my God, where did the time go? Like, we had such a good time talking. 4 hours bled away. And it was like we recorded a nearly 3 hour podcast and then talked for an additional. We talked about everything under the sun, dude. But my plan was,
we can talk here at this show.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about everything. My initial plan was I'm going to record that, take a little nap, and then be good to jump on the carpool stream with Ryan and play Diablo. Well, turned out, because of that long chat, didn't get to take my nap. Ryan wasn't able to log into the game either. He had it on Xbox, and the exact same issue that they had on PS5 last night, Xbox has had all day today. And it wasn't a quick fix. Like, he wasn't able to log in the entire time we were streaming. So poor Ryan over in Xbox land, unable to play Diablo 4. So when Sean came over around 2:00, he took over the stream and we played Diablo until about an hour ago. So I'm tired. And Diablo 4 is amazing, don't get me wrong. And I had a great time chatting with Drew, but I am tired. So it has been a long day. After we record this and I get it all done up for the audio feed, I'm going to bed. Like, it's been a day. I'm just a long day. A good day. Had a good time doing all of those things, but I am quite tired. I'm not going to lie. So
fair enough. Well, what'll make you feel better, Seth?
What?
Talking about some Nintendo news.
That is what we do here on the show. Shall we do that?
That is what we do here on the show. Yes. As a matter of fact, I suppose since you are here, since I am here, since it is Friday night here at youtube.com/allinpodcast, I suppose let's talk about it.
Hey, listen!
Navi has sounded off, and that is the signaling of the news, my friend. What do we start with this week, I wonder?
I can't think of anything else right now, honestly, aside from the most random sequel announcement I've seen maybe since the Switch's launch, which is fitting considering that it was a Switch sequel to a Switch launch title. For some reason, Nintendo has announced a sequel to their functionally tech demo game released at the launch of the Nintendo Switch back on March 17th, or back on March 2017.
Mm-hmm.
1-2 Switch is getting a sequel, and they just dropped it Thursday night in lieu of any news about upcoming NSO drops or upcoming Nintendo Switch Online app. They're like, hey, by the way, this random tech demo that people were kind of really mad on, we're making a new one. Here's a horse face. Look at this. This is amazing. That was the most random thing I've ever seen on the Nintendo Switch.
Well, it was funny, too, because almost the timing of this is incredible, and I almost wonder if it's intentional, because almost exactly a year ago, Imran Khan at the now defunct Fanbyte, RIP Fanbyte, ran a story that he had heard that a sequel to 1-2 Switch was in development, and that it was done and had been done for some time. Nintendo was sitting on it for at least a year at the time he wrote the story a year ago. So this game has been functionally completed for minimum 2 years. And the reason they hadn't released it is because it focus tested so badly that they didn't know what to do with it. That he knew the title, the horsehead host, everything. It's all there in that original post from a year ago. And it is Everybody 1-2 Switch. And it focus tested so badly, Nintendo didn't know what to do with it. They're like, do we release this at all? We don't want to tarnish our brand. Do we throw it in as a free pack-in for NSO? What do we do with this? And it seems like, I mean, we don't know. We won't know until the game comes out on June 30th. But it seems like they must have gone back to the drawing board with it a little bit. And taken the same concepts and reworked. I don't know if it was the games that the people didn't like, or the functionality, the way it actually functionally worked, but apparently the focus test was terrible. And I am very curious. I'm gonna play this. I'm picking this up.
Me too.
I'm gonna play it.
Me too.
And
the physical is just $30.
Exactly. The price is right. And for me, I'm actually way more intrigued by this because I want to see what the story of this is. I want to see if they're just saying, forget it, we're just going to release this horribly focus tested thing, or did they take that feedback to heart and work on it for another continued couple of years and release it? It could be good. It could be horrible, but it could be good.
Well, I mean, I've got to imagine they did something with it in the past couple of years. If they've been sitting on it for this long, I mean, if they were really, like, people are still high on Tears of the Kingdom. It's still fresh in everybody's mind. They didn't need to necessarily announce a new first-party title yet to satiate people.
Right.
Like, if it had been a couple months with zero news about first-party titles and Nintendo released this, I'd be like, sure, they just generated something to generate just a little bit of buzz. They knew it's going to come, but, at least people know that they're still working on first-party titles. That didn't happen here. And it's easy to draw parallels between that and another Switch game that just had its own sequel released a couple weeks ago, especially after a very famous story that it was also finished for a year, but they spent that year polishing the game.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of parallels that you could easily draw. I'm not saying that just because that's true with Tears of the Kingdom, that it's automatically true with Everybody 1-2 Switch. I'm absolutely not saying that.
It was also true of Metroid Prime Remastered, right?
Yeah.
But,
this is Nintendo. Nintendo does, at least within their own building, have a standard of quality.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying this is going to come out and be, a 10 out of 10, but I've got to imagine they've done something with it. That it's at least going to be a game that people would consider bringing out at parties, as aside from something that's going to come out and immediately put a bad taste in people's mouth. So I don't think Nintendo would do that. And I say that not 100% sure.
With a grimace, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, two things worry me about this. First of all, the timing. This drops at the end of this month. So this is a very quick announcement to release turnaround. Not uncommon for Nintendo, but coupled with the next thing I'm about to say, it worries me, which is we know nothing about this game. Like, we know that you're going to be able to use your smart device in addition to Joy-Con to play, much like Jackbox Party Pack.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
did
great.
think that was interesting, yeah.
Very smart, I think. I think that is smart, especially since this one's everybody 1-2 Switch. 1-2 Switch was a 1v1 game, so this one you're going to be able to team up with your friends and family, and I don't know how Imran Khan's initial report was that you could play with up to 100 people. I don't know if that's still true or not, but we don't know one way or the other. All we know is that you can play...
Now it's 1,000. That's what they spent the last year on.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying they confirmed that. I was like, good God.
No.
Maybe. Well, you know, it's
the ultimate battle royale.
Yeah.
It's Nintendo Squid Game.
Right. Well, you know, I do think it was a smart move to do the smart device thing because, like, to be fair, like, you know, that Jackbox Party Pack is a mainstay. When I go over to my family's house, we bust that out. It's super fun. Anybody can do it. Everybody's got a smart device now, right? So I do think that's smart.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Sorry, what?
And I do think that's a smart move. However, like, why not? There's not even a trailer. The only thing we have seen of this game is the cover art with the weird horse head dude.
With the weird horse head dude, yeah, which is very evocative of Fortnite.
Yeah, it's.
I wonder if that's intentional.
It's a little that kind of like a meme-y, you know, sort of thing. Like, I think it's supposed to appeal to like young kids, you know, like that's my nephews would see that and laugh, right? Totally. And then like,
Mommy, get me the horse game.
Yeah, it's that. We've seen the cover art with that, and we've seen this weird screenshot of just a man and a woman in a pink room holding Joy-Con. And that's all we've seen of the game. That's all we know. We have not seen any of the actual games, and that is what worries me. Like, if you're gonna, you know, announce this short, you know, announcement to release window, fine. But, like, showing nothing is worrying. And I don't know, man. I think they know that the price is right for this. I think they know that people will bite for $30 because the biggest problem with 1-2 Switch was I actually liked that game. It was just too expensive. Yeah.
I did too. I liked it. It was fun. It wasn't amazing, but it was a good showcase of what the Switch could do at the time. I had some very memorable moments playing that. Like there was a mini game where you would actually roll your Joy-Cons around, and there was supposed to be like a number of balls.
Marbles.
It was supposed to, marbles inside, and that was really, really cool. There was one where you were supposed to turn the Joy-Con and mimic like rolling up or like unraveling something.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you would roll, and that was really cool. Not saying that, again, it was an amazing game, but as a showcase for what the potential of the motion controls and the other functionality of the Nintendo Switch, what the system could do, you know, it was really, really interesting as an actual tech demo, which is what it was meant for. It's just like you said, tech demos shouldn't be full price.
No, it should not have come out at $60. But like, regardless of that price point, the game sold 3.5 million copies. So like, which I have to imagine was an insane return on their investment. Like, that game, I can't imagine costs much to make. It is literally just recording FMV footage of actors you had in some, you know, pastel rooms for a day, and you called it a day. Like, there's not a whole lot of actual, you know, game design there beyond the showcase of the tech, which I think is actually still really impressive. Like, I think it still might be the best HD Rumble showcase on the system. Like, actually doing what you're talking about, the marbles and stuff, and milking the cows weirdly, the udders and whatnot. Like, that was weirdly, like, really well done, and we haven't really seen anything use it quite that well since. So I do appreciate that game for what it is, but it should have been a pack-in, and that was the narrative around it. So now you've got this for $30.
Well, the fact that it should have been a pack-in, it was so easy to see it as like this generation's Wii Sports,
right?
Which, you know, that's all the buzz a lot of people really needed. I was like, well, Wii Sports it's Wii Sports, and this is the new Wii Sports. Ergo,
yeah.
So that's, I mean, of course it's going to sell.
Yeah, so for this little thing that cost them no money to make 3.5 million, they, I imagine, started working on a sequel pretty quick. So they're releasing this thing again, $30. The price is right, and the story is interesting enough that people like you and I will bite on it, right? And
oh, I'm morbidly curious. I absolutely want to see what's going on with this game.
Absolutely.
And if it's, I would almost appreciate it if it were a train wreck.
A little bit. I would almost appreciate the gumption, like the verve behind it. Like wow, you guys really did just go for that, huh? But I don't know, man. I'm gonna be really curious. It's one of those things. It's one of those situations to me where, and I've said this on the show before about other things, but like if it's bad, I win. If it's good, I win. You know what I mean? Like if it's bad, it's at least an interesting discussion, an interesting story. And if it's good, then you got a fun game for $30. You know? So I don't know, man. I am very
well. See, here's the
curious.
thing. Here's the thing. It was an interesting showcase of the Switch's capabilities back on the launch of the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
There's been a couple halfway decent party games that have launched on the console since then.
Mm-hmm.
The intervening 6 years hasn't exactly been bereft of good party experiences. So, I mean, if it's cool, if it's fun, even for a budget price, cool. I just don't know. Like, it's going to have to be fairly special if it's going to be, like, if it's going to be the thing we play instead of Jackbox, if it's going to be the thing we play instead of Mario Kart, if it's going to be the thing we play instead of Smash Brothers. So that's another one of the things that has me with question marks over my head. Like, do you really need another showcase? Because that's the entire point of that first game. It was just essentially, here's what our new system can do with a little bit of mini game style party trappings. But this is going to have to actually be like a full-fledged...
This has to be a game. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. So it is a fascinating story. Like if absolutely nothing else, this is one of the most interesting releases of the year, if nothing else.
I was so... And the fact that it was just announced randomly on a Thursday evening just adds to the, you know, what in the world factor of this entire thing, because the game wasn't the only thing announced.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't.
We got these new Easter Joy-Cons post Easter.
Yeah,
I mean they look kind of cool. I mean, they're pastel colors. Why would you release anything pastel color outside of Easter?
It's weird because like in their language and their marketing when they revealed these, they were leaning into the summer aspect, and I don't know. They look like pastel to me reads spring.
It's spring, yeah.
But I don't know.
When I first saw the picture, my mind saw an Easter basket behind everything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to me, I agree with you. To me, that reads spring, but I think they're positioning this as summer because even like, I mean, like they even kind of remind me of the Animal Crossing Joy-Con and whatnot a little bit.
Yeah. Not saying I'm an expert on color theory, but Nintendo, I think you got your seasons mixed.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyway, what this is, same day, June 30th, they're launching 2 new sets of Joy-Con colorways. It's going to be a set of pastel purple and green, and then the other set is pastel pink and yellow. And I do like the way these look quite a bit, actually. Yeah. I'm not going to get them, but I do like the way they look.
See, the thing is, like for those... especially for a lot of us who have the special edition Nintendo Switches, like those would look terrible on my Splatoon Switch.
True. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not going to find a one set fits all with stuff like this. Nobody's going to like every Joy-Con set that comes out, but yeah, with a lot of the special editions that have come out, they're going to really clash with those. And honestly, like muted colors, that's an interesting color choice for hardware or for any type of accessories anyway. I've always thought you want, you know, more bright, more neon, more full colors to, you know, really stimulate emotions, really stimulate the senses more. You know, if you're like our friend Locklith, who's very cozy and kind of laid back, if you're that type of gamer, you like a lot of Animal Crossing or Disney Dreamlight Valley, I'm sure you'll be attracted to these. But for a lot of more, you know, active gamers, you know, it's like it's why they paint everything at McDonald's bright yellow and bright red. You know, it just
for the gamers.
Yeah.
Well, I actually like pastel colors quite a bit. I like pastel colors, and I would actually not be opposed to buying these if it weren't for one very specific thing. These Joy-Con are still busted. These Joy-Con still have drift. Nintendo has been completely non-committal to fixing Joy-Con drift and to actually improving the hardware components of these. So the notion of me, as much as I like these colors, I had a moment of weakness where I was like, I think I might pick up the pink and yellow set. I do really like these, but no, you know what? No, I can't do this. These things, they're charging me, I think they're $79.99 for these Joy-Con that'll still drift, and like they're making no apologies for it, you know? And I'm just like, it's not okay. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I know some people who are absolutely going to be all over these, but I just can't justify buying any more Joy-Con. I really can't. You know, I can't continue to. That's probably my number one hope for whatever the Switch 2, Switch Pro, whatever, is just you guys gotta fix these Joy-Con, man. You have to. So, but anyways, they're coming out June 30th. Standard retail price. I was also kind of hoping that they would make it so that you could buy them individually and I could have 2 pastel yellow or something like that. But no, just like all the other stuff, they're in a mismatched set, which
of course.
Strange. Court Lalonde in the chat says, I bet you buy them. Court Lalonde, I bet I don't. I bet you I don't.
He's going to use his old busted Joy-Cons to play Everybody Want to Switch at the end of the month. Because I guarantee,
I'm sorry, dude. I just can't. I'm actually I have my Skyward Sword Joy-Con and I have my white Joy-Con that came with my OLED. And I'm happy with that. I'm good with that. All right? I'm going to leave it at that. So, anyways, what do we got?
Anywho, well, we have yet another Digital Direct presentation announced for next week, in addition to everything else, because, I mean, like we were saying, the June news cycle is just absolutely ridiculous. We were talking about that last week, but Capcom is even further throwing their hat in. I mean, it's not enough to launch Street Fighter 6 this week. This coming the 7th. The final Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak digital presentation is happening next week, June 7th at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. At 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
10 p.m. somewhere.
10 p.m. somewhere. Quote, find out what's coming in the bonus update, then join the team for a developer roundtable as they reflect on bringing Rise and Sunbreak to life. End quote. Here we are, right at the very tail end of the life cycle for Monster Hunter Rise, and woof, what a game. Oof, what a game. So many updates, so much content. A game you could easily sink hundreds and hundreds of hours into, and Seth and I have both sunk quite a bit of time into this game. I'd love to sink even more, but yes, the final update for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak on the Nintendo Switch will be detailed next week during the final. I mean, they said, look as the team reflect on the making of the game. That to me says this is the last one, y'all.
Yeah, it is. I expect they'll continue to update the game with like event quests, but this is, I think, the last major update, this bonus update, and they'll detail what's in it. Probably some new monster. Your typical, what we've seen with all these, right? I think that's probably going to be pretty par for the course, and then they're going to spend some time doing this developer roundtable, and I think that's about it for this game. I think from then on, it's just you'll get your little event quests every so often that they'll throw in there, and I think it's about it. It's an impressive
probably
game.
Patch a couple things. Yeah, it's so good. We gave it a golden ace at the beginning of 2022, and again, you and I just had so much fun with it. It's been getting new content at a fairly steady clip for over 2 years now.
They've had a major update every couple months. Yeah.
And new event quests and emotes and all kinds of stuff. Sure, there's a lot of microtransaction-y extra content that you can buy, but just in the base game and just with Sunbreak, there's a ridiculous amount of content and a ridiculous amount of free content that has been added to that game. So if you don't want to jump into the microtransactions and the nickel and dimey, cosmetic stuff, completely understand. I actually didn't, and I was still able to do more in that game. Or there was still more in that game than I could actually do. So congratulations to Capcom for, just absolutely hitting a home run. There were a lot of eyebrows raised when the next Monster Hunter game was initially going to be a Switch exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, Monster Hunter Rise. With not really a lot of experience with Monster Hunter World, it's hard for me to say the best in the series, obviously. But, man, there's a reason that Monster Hunter is really considered Capcom's flagship franchise at this point.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So, we'll have more to say on this likely next week. In addition, next week's going to be a stacked news roundup live. So look forward to that. We're going to have a lot to talk about, I imagine.
Yeah. Bring your own coffee next week, ladies and gentlemen.
You're going to need your own coffee next week. But I want to hit a couple of these stories, and this kind of middle section of our news might be a good place to hit some of these kind of less than fun stories. And I'll start here with the sad news that we got this week that Vanpool sadly closed their doors. They announced that they're going to be closing their doors. Tokyo-based company founded in 1999, best known for their work on the Dylan's Rolling Western games, the Tingle spin-off games that were never localized. So shout-outs to Tingle, of course. And a prolific support studio on the Kirby franchise, having just worked on Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. They gave no reason for the studio's dissolution, but they are closing their doors after, again, close to 30 years. They've been in business since 1999, so it's sad, man. Pour one out.
It is. They made Tingle though, so it's
it's the Tingle's Balloon Fight, Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land,
and
there's a third one. I think they were only ever in Europe and Japan. They never came here. But they were responsible for that. They also worked on the Mario and Luigi series as a support studio. So, they were a pretty prolific, second party studio, for Nintendo for many, many years. So this is sad news, dude. I wish everybody there all the best. Obviously, everybody that, hopefully everybody lands on their feet after the studio closes.
Yeah, it was a little bit out of left field for us, but hopefully they had at least a little bit of forewarning so that they could get their affairs in order, try to lock down a new job elsewhere. And it could, again, I'm not saying this is the case, but it could also be a situation to where Nintendo said, you guys work on all of these disparate projects for Nintendo so much that honestly, it just doesn't make any sense for you to be your own studio anymore. Let's just dissolve the studio, properly bring you guys into the fold and, different studios, different offices. That could potentially be what's going on. They just say, structurally, it doesn't make sense to be your own studio anymore. Let's just reintegrate you guys elsewhere. So I hope for the people that work there and their continued employment, I hope something like that was the case.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, there's another story to hit here real quick. Nintendo of Europe has informed publishers this week that the eShop service in Russia would be operating in, quote, limited service effective immediately. This follows NOE's initiative to begin winding down their Russian subsidiary back in March 2023, which we previously reported on here on the show. The press release states, quote, as of May 31st, 2023, and for the foreseeable future, Russian customers with an existing Nintendo account will be able to re-download digital content that they have previously purchased. It will not be possible to make any new purchases or use download codes within the Nintendo eShop in Russia, end quote. So, yeah, if you're a Russian Nintendo fan, then it might be wise to go ahead and make an eShop account under a different region so that you can still access content.
Which honestly isn't that hard to do. But it's insane that we live in this world where a video game developer and publisher is trying to exert pressure on a major world power to cease aggression and to cease forces in another. That's amazing to me that we live in that world where a video game publisher is trying to basically influence world affairs.
Well, I think it's not only that, it's like, we don't want to pay taxes to that country anymore. It's we don't want to operate in that country anymore. We don't want to feed into into that economic pool. And like, you kind of can't blame them, but it is a pretty drastic move. There was talks earlier today. We don't, we haven't in quite some time, blessedly, talked about the Activision Blizzard thing, but Bloomberg reported earlier today about how they're planning on just taking Activision just out of the UK in general to like circumvent the need for needing to be approved by the UK legislation. So like, people are willing to make some pretty strong moves. And so you look at Nintendo of Europe here, and I don't necessarily blame them.
I don't either.
So it's unfortunate for Russian fans and people who are innocent bystanders, but it's easy enough to just make another eShop account and operate that way. So
still, the insane world that we live in. I hope that things settle down. I hope, for the continued strife over in the Ukraine, that they're able to, come through. I hope essentially the world gets to the place where Nintendo can ultimately reverse that decision. However, that takes form.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Nintendo branches, Nintendo of Canada was teasing this week that the next Booster Course Pass wave for Mario Kart 8 is coming soon. Which, of course it is. The last one came in what, March? I think
March or March or early April. I mean, anybody with a second grade math background, after they announced the Booster Course Pass at the beginning of 2022 and said we were getting 6 drops over the course of the next 2 years, said, oh, okay, well, that works out to about every 4 months. Cool. And sure enough, we got one in April. We got one in August, and we got one right at the end of 2022, and we got one, again, about 4 months into this year. So sure, right at the end of July, right at the beginning of August, which at this point is soon-ish. So I mean, of course it's coming soon. We've got 2 more before the end of the year.
The tweet reads, quote, "It's mom and dad's time to shine when it comes to hashtag Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Can you show off your skills at family game night, or will you be the one to fall behind? Psst, more courses are coming to the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass soon. ... So it's funny because this, in addition to the everybody's 1-2 Switch news, I've seen a lot of people online thinking that and we've publicly talked about how we think that the move is to do a partner showcase this summer anyway for Nintendo. But a lot of people are like, well, this clearly there's not going to be a first party, anything from Nintendo this summer. And to me, I'm like, well, this is the kind of news, if you look at the way they've delivered this news in the past for Mario Kart 8, it's common for them to just drop this stuff on Twitter. We'll probably wake up next week and see this on Twitter. Just they do this all the time. I think they've done it with almost every one of them. So
with Mario Kart, yes, but with everybody 1-2 Switch, I do think that was, if Nintendo had been planning their own direct before the end of this month, quote unquote E3 timeframe, then everybody 1-2 Switch would have absolutely been tucked in there among everything else. Potentially even they would have waited till the end of June to shadow drop it. But the fact that was just thrown out there, I do think lends even more credence to the lack of a first party direct and makes our prediction of a partner direct that much stronger.
I mean, like, I don't think they're doing a first party direct, but for me, I look at everybody 1-2 Switch, and for me, I think it's actually quite smart, because them announcing it the way they did is the reason we're talking about it. Like, it's the reason everybody's talking about it. I think they know, like, Nintendo's a smart company. They market things strangely sometimes, but like, for them to just drop that on a Thursday night, like, in addition to the Joy-Con and stuff, like, I think they kind of knew that they would kind of have that weird little dominant news cycle for a couple days there. And it might have been more attractive to market that game that way, in this strange, bizarre way, that might have served them better than just, like you said, tucking that into a direct alongside actually exciting announcements. So I don't know, man.
I don't know. It's just been a weird week, hasn't it? It's just been a really bizarre news week. And kind of going along with that theme, hey, Seth, we're getting more Squishmallows
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
These guys.
Yeah, we've got more Pokemon Squishmallows coming soon, which in and of itself isn't necessarily a strange or bizarre announcement, but Pokemon has over 1,000 different Pokemon to choose from at this point in the franchise's life. And for the 5th and 6th Pokemon Squishmallows, we got Piplup, which makes sense, and Pikachu, which we already have, but this one is different apparently because it's winking.
Yeah, winking Pikachu, dude. Locklith has materialized in the chat, by the way. Now
that doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
Have been mentioned.
But yeah, so we got the 5th and 6th Pokemon Squishmallows announced this past week, and of the 6 Squishmallows that are currently in existence for the most popular and profitable brand in the world, of the 6 that are out there, 2 of them are Pikachu. Mm-hmm. And listen, I get it. Pikachu's ridiculously popular, and people are going to buy it. But there are other adorable. I mean, Fido's right there.
Yeah. Locklith says he's winking though. I mean, that's what it's funny too. I was thinking
honestly, I want to. Does that matter? This is a completely serious question. I want to when it comes to variants and stuff like that. I know there's a ton of stuff that's super collectible. Oh, this one is a silver variant. It's super rare or whatever. Rarity has nothing to do when it comes to Squishmallows outside of just not being able to get them in general. But how much does stuff like that actually matter? How many different Pikachus? Do you want a sailor hat Pikachu? Do you want a surfing Pikachu? How much do you think that matters when it comes to stuff like this? Because if you're going to do it for any type of product, I imagine this might be the type of product line to do it for. Doll lines are collectible, stuffed animals, collectible, American Girl dolls, stuff like that. It is still weird to me, but I guess maybe it makes some kind of weird collector sense in this regard.
Yeah, well, and Locklith is watching us, and she's in the chat. So if she, I'm sure, will chime in on this. And she also said,
please,
if it was a Detective Pikachu, I would have been more excited. Which, yeah, but it's not uncommon. And Locklith will correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not uncommon for Squishmallows to have variants of the different stuffies in their line. So and it's also, I was thinking about this as it relates to Japan. It's funny she brings up Detective Pikachu in the chat because it reminds me of there's a phenomenon going on, Eric. I don't know how aware of this you are. Around the time the Detective Pikachu movie was coming out, there was a whole the Japanese culture was obsessed with a still frame of the first Detective Pikachu where Pikachu makes a wrinkly face. He closes his eyes and his face looks all wrinkly and weird. Japan was obsessed with it to the point where I think 7-Eleven was raffling away stickers of wrinkly face Pikachu. The Pokemon Company in Japan made plushies of wrinkly face Pikachu. So there is a market for this, for just Pikachu making a different face. People will eat it up. And like I said, it's not super uncommon for Squishmallows either. So it's weird. I don't necessarily get it, but somebody does.
I mean, I know Squishmallows at this point have kind of reached that level of just collectability. Yeah. I don't know if they're on the same level as Beanie Babies used to be or that Funko Pops are, but I do know that Squishmallows in many circles are kind of considered collectibles within their own right. So I guess it does kind of make sense for variants, very similar to how those brands started creating variants, which in itself are more collectible. I guess it's just still so weird that 6 plushies in to the Pokemon Squishmallow line, we're already seeing variants of Pokemon that already exist.
So this is interesting. Locklith in the chat says it's common for there to be variants of the same Squishmallows. You'll see the same Squish but winking as a separate variant. I honestly would have loved Detective Pikachu or a different Pokemon like Eevee. It's interesting that winking, maybe that is just a Squishmallows thing. The wink. Maybe that's just par for the course. So I don't know. Strange. It is. She makes a good point too, because I can't believe there isn't an Eevee like, why do this instead of Eevee? Even like Piplup, which Piplup is very cute. And when I saw this drop, it was funny because I was like, cool, I got Gengar and Snorlax. I'm good forever now.
Yep.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And then I saw Piplup and I was like, oh. Not gonna lie, if I saw that on the shelf, I would probably pick it up. Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie. If I see that in the wild, I would probably pick it up. But it is weird to me that there isn't something like an Eevee or a Jigglypuff. She says winking or even both eyes closed is a common Squishmallow variant. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, interesting, man.
Good to have a Squishmallow subject matter expert in here to actually bounce this story off of, because for us lay people, it really is kind of bizarre. But I guess for the Squishmallow faithful out there, I guess this is apparently fairly common. Although, I mean, the fact that there's only 6 and there's still so many that clearly need their own Squishmallow, I would think maybe they would have at least waited a little while before they did stuff like Clefairy and Jigglypuff and Eevee. I mean, they haven't even gotten through the Gen 1 Pokemon that need their own Squishmallow yet. So, but there's such a massive market. It's such a great collaboration. Squishmallow and Pokemon make way too much sense. It's honestly, it kind of surprises me that they have been releasing these at an even more aggressive tilt, because they could easily have dozens of these by now. And there are a lot of people out there that would get many of them.
They're smart to drip feed it like this, dude. This will have a long tail. They're going to be putting these out for years and years and years.
I imagine you're right. Yeah.
Like this is gonna have a long tail. Lachlan says it's so funny because I joined the stream during this moment too. Look, we're glad you were here. Provide a little live context to this story. So, yeah, communicating telepathically.
Exactly.
Appreciate you, Lachlan. One last thing I want to shout out here is actually an interesting Kickstarter that's live from Nintendo Force. Their first ever, publication campaign via Kickstarter, an upcoming book called The Impact of Iwata. It is positioned to, quote, chronicle the life and achievements of Nintendo's legendary president, end quote. And a ton of artists are contributing to this book, including friends of the show Phil Summers and Matthew Toronto of both hand-drawn game guides and the recently released Game Master Classified. In addition, several contributing writers include Ant Dude, she says, from Boundary Break, Kit Ellis from Kit and Krista, Derek Bittner from Good Vibes Gaming, and friend of the show, Andre Seegers from Game Explain. The Kickstarter had a goal of $29,000 and has already been fully funded. So congratulations, I backed it, and I'm looking forward to checking this out, man. It's they said in their pitch, and they had the write up of the book, because one of the things I'm glad they specifically addressed this was, how is this any different from Ask Iwata?
Yep.
And I'm glad they addressed that, because that was my number one question.
It's going to be many people's first question. So
exactly. Yeah. Smart of them to address it out on Front Street. And their response to that, hey, Bowser's here in the chat, asking Lachlan about dinner. Good to see you, Bowser. They say that Ask Iwata is more of a collection of writings and articles and quotes and inspirational stuff. This is more so a biography. Yeah. So this is going to be with, the work of fans and people who love him and care about him. So this is going to be more.
He deserves it.
Absolutely. So, and they've already shared a lot of the artwork of it. It looks gorgeous. There's already the first stretch goal is live to ship every copy with a nice full art poster. So I'm really excited that this is funded. I'm looking forward to getting my copy.
I am too. This is going to be, this is absolutely going to be, I don't read too many books, but this will absolutely be one of them.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to individual personalities within the industry, we do retrospectives all the time on the story of games, because very often the development of individual games is in and of itself a really interesting tale to tell. But when it comes to the careers and the lives and the impact that many of the people had, there are a few people that I can think of from Nintendo's perspective that really deserve a spotlight like this more than Satoru Iwata. And I am sure that after their careers are clearly over, I'm sure, Reggie's going to get one. I'm sure Shigeru Miyamoto is going to get one. I'm sure Masahiro Sakurai is going to get one. But yeah, Satoru Iwata is right up there on the Mount Rushmore with those people, and I can't wait to check this out.
Absolutely. Check that out on Kickstarter, The Impact of Iwata from Nintendo Force Publishing. But Eric, let's hit some of these notable releases, shall we? And send the good people off with their weekend.
Yeah, clearly Street Fighter 6. I'm sorry, Street Fighter.
Diablo 4.
Diablo 4 is coming to... No, see, well, that's the thing. Are we, I guess we're finally removed enough from Tears of the Kingdom where other major releases can finally have a bit of the spotlight. So yes, Diablo 4, yes, Street Fighter 6, they both released and they are clearly the biggest releases of this week. But did you know some stuff actually did release on the Nintendo Switch this week? As a matter of fact, a collection of games that I am fairly excited for because I never really got to check these out during the DS days. Mm-hmm. So the Etrian Odyssey Origins collection, collecting Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, and 3, released this past week for the Nintendo Switch. You can buy them each individually, or you can buy the entire collection. And again, these are remakes of old DS games, so be aware of that when you're going in. I don't know... Like I said, these just released this week. I haven't had the opportunity to play them. I don't really know the ins and outs of how they've been adapted to a home console, such as the Nintendo Switch is with its hybrid nature. But just do be aware, these aren't new games necessarily. Right. This is yet another in this insane year of remakes and re-releases that has already seen RE4 and, Metroid Prime and all of these other amazing remakes and re-releases this year. This Etrian Odyssey collection is just another in that. So, but I am interested to check them out. Like I said, Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, and 3 available individually, but also as a collection right now on the Nintendo Switch eShop.
Yes. I was, while you were saying that, I was checking my Amazon order status on We Love Katamari Reroll plus Royal Reverie.
Is it at least out?
Nope. It still says
it's not even out for
delivery date pending. That also came out this week, which is something I've been really excited about. I pre-ordered the game physically via Amazon because Amazon had I do not know what it is. I don't know if it's in-game. I don't know if it's a physical thing. It just says Little Prince Accessory, and it just has a little, picture of the prince from Katamari, and it sort of looks like it's a little, figure or something, but I don't know what it is. And there isn't a descriptive piece of text. I never got a download code or anything. So, I don't know. But Amazon hasn't shipped it.
But you bought it without knowing?
Yeah, but I wanted to see what it was. That's why I got it from them versus, GameStop. So, I was like, I'll just, you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll buy it and I'll get it there versus...
I'm getting the Katamari game anyway. Why not,
Yeah, why not just, at least see what the heck this is? So, I ordered it via Amazon and it still is not shipped. So,
I want to say I have a terrible memory. I do remember when we were talking about new releases last week that I correctly said that Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Advance 4 was not available on the Game Boy Advance NSO, and I'm still right about that. Anybody who thinks otherwise is clearly wrong in that regard. Right, but I don't remember. Did you say We Love Katamari was your favorite?
Yes. Yeah, I think it is the best in the series. I've played almost all of them. We Love Katamari, I think, is just the perfect balance. It's quite a bit larger in scale than the first game. There's a little more meat on the bone. The music is better. It still has those same vibes. It is the best Katamari game. And I'm very excited. And Capcom, Bandai Namco has added some new modes and stuff to this version of the game. So I'm really looking forward to checking this out. It's just as well because I'm currently so into things like Zelda and Diablo. So my feelings aren't super hurt that Amazon hasn't shipped it, but at the same time, Amazon, give me my game. So yeah, that did come out.
That did come out. In addition, a game that finally came out after a bizarre delay that we tackled. What was it, last week?
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, Sunshine Shuffle, which we have finally confirmed does not teach young children how to gamble.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No, but that finally came out after the most bizarre delay in Nintendo history. So if you saw the story around that and you were interested in checking the game out just because of that, it was like, what in the world is this that caused that type of reaction? The game is out now and you can see for yourself.
I think it's $10. It looks fun, looks funny. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm looking forward to playing it. I'll report back on the main show when I do get around to it. Speaking of the main show, you'll also, if you listen to the main show that drops tomorrow, hear me talk a little bit about the Tartarus Key. And if you don't want to wait until then to hear, you can also watch the first 30 to 40 minutes of the game on our YouTube channel. If you're here right now,
yes.
It's live there, the Tartarus Key. Big thanks to the publisher for providing us a copy of the game for review. Quick cliff notes of it. It's a really interesting low poly PS1 style escape room game, effectively, with really funny, witty writing and interesting, little head scratcher puzzles. Lachlan and I were chatting last night about it. It's not a very scary game, but she was down in, bottles of wine, I think, drinking it last night, and she was playing it too. So, but I really like it. It's got the right vibes. It's a Seth game. It's got those detective vibes that I like. You guys know I like those kind of games. So, but you'll hear me talk about it a little bit more on the main show tomorrow, for sure. So, the nice. Tartarus Key, check it out.
Well, I do want to hear you talk about one game right now, though, because I'm not exactly sure what this Homebody thing is that released this week.
Yeah, Homebody. This is another low poly horror game. Interestingly, this game is developed and published by the Game Grumps. And they are no stranger to game development. They also did Dream Daddy, which is a game I actually really like. So I'm interested in checking this out. And
have you told your wife that you really like?
I played it with my wife, as a matter of fact.
That's amazing. And that seems like the kind of game Anastasia would love.
We had a great time playing it. You can make your Dream Daddy. She loves the game. You can make your main character look just like Waluigi and play that game as Waluigi. It's good. It's a great dating sim, a truly great dating sim. So anyway, I really want to check out Homebody. It looks really interesting. Again, first person, low poly horror kind of thing. I think it's about you. I purposefully have not looked up much about what the story is, but it seems to all take place inside of a house, which is why it's called Homebody. And it looks cool.
Potential spooky indie showcase.
Potentially, and there's also it's weird because this week we had the Tartarus Key, Homebody, and then Killer Frequency, which is another game that I'm keen to check out. There'll be a YouTube video on it soon because the publisher very graciously gave us a key for that too. Thank you very much for that, and we'll be checking that out in short order, and we'll have a YouTube video on that as well. But this is an interesting game. You know who put this game on my radar is Gamer Jason in the community.
One of our amazing patrons, yes.
One of our patrons. He's been on the show. Great guy.
Been on the show, yeah.
He pointed it out in the... there's a special chat channel in the All In Discord specifically for indies. And he goes, yo, I'm playing this game, Killer Frequency. It looks really cool. He got a copy of the game for review on the What's Wrong with Wolfie website that you should all check out. And so he's been playing it, and he's like, this is cool. It's got these kind of 80s vibes where you are... I guess working in a radio tower, a radio broadcast thing, you're manning an 80s radio station, but there's a serial killer on the loose, it seems like. Looks cool, looks creepy. Killer Frequency. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I haven't played it yet. We did just get the code, and there will be a YouTube video about it, and I'll probably chat much more about it next week on the main show. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff this week, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're playing one of those spooky games this week, if you're playing Homebody or Killer Frequency or even a spooky game on another console like Diablo 4, seems like it's a really good week for that, ironically. But whatever you guys are checking out this weekend, let us know. What are you guys up to this weekend? Let us know. Reach out to us at Facebook and Twitter at All In Podcast. All In Podcast. Sorry, too much coffee. My tongue's starting to fall over my mouth. At All In Podcast. Make sure to follow, make sure to check out our Discord and our indie chat channel there. We've got a ton of amazing people in the community, ton of patrons, ton of just awesome people, and we are very, very welcoming. Definitely follow our Discord. Also, for those of you watching here at youtube.com/allinpodcast, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Since you're here anyway, you might as well. I mean, just take you a couple seconds. And if you're listening to the podcast version of this, you should at some point go to youtube.com/allinpodcast. You're on YouTube all the time. You know you are at 2:30 a.m. when you should be asleep. You know you are. So just follow, and subscribe to exactly. Yeah. You know you are. But in addition to all that, we create a ton of amazing content for you guys. Don't forget to check out that video on the Tartarus key that Seth put up there. Also, make sure to check out all the amazing content we put up for our patrons at patreon.com/allinpodcast.
We do indeed. Patreon.com/allinpodcast. 3 tiers of support. Hey, you can head over there and actually get a 7-day free trial to the Golden Banana tier. Get access to All In Side Quest and the $2 Hero Cast. Get shouted out on the show. See what all the fuss is about over there.
Yeah.
On patreon.com/allinpodcast.
Do the All In Patreon challenge. Get the 7-day trial and see if you can listen to all the side quests in your 7-day. If you can't, then you have to become a patron. It's required by law.
You know what's great about that challenge is it might be physically impossible. I haven't crunched the numbers on that, but I like our odds. Patreon.com/allinpodcast. 3 tiers of support. See what works for you. Check out our merch, bit.ly/allinmerch. Get yourself a shirt, get yourself a mug or a sticker. We really appreciate you for throwing a few bones our way. Leave us 5-star reviews if you're listening to this on the podcast feed. We really appreciate those as well. And of course, the main show drops tomorrow, which has all kinds of fun stuff in it, including a big review discussion, Eric. The biggest review of the year. But maybe the biggest review in the history of the show.
I think the biggest review we've actually done. The long-awaited review, the one that everybody has been waiting actual decades for. Our full review of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom drops tomorrow. Make sure to check that out. As a matter of fact, we brought a friend.
We did. Andros from the Nintendo Pals. Andros1 on Twitch. Noted Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom fan who streamed the game for a straight weekend when the game came out, is joining us for a huge 2.5-hour review, an epic, I would say, Eric, review discussion. Spoiler free, no story spoilers. We kept it spoiler.
Well, a game this big required a big review, but we promise it's still a really fun and entertaining listen.
I agree. I think it's really. I'm really happy with how that turned out. We had a great conversation. We break down absolutely everything. We really chew the fat on it. So be sure you listen to that when it drops on your podcast feed tomorrow. Thanks, y'all.
And make sure to check out everything we do here at All In. Just want to say to our amazing patrons, thank you guys. So just want to say to everybody who drops words on whatever podcast you're listening to us on, be it Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, or we don't even do SoundCloud anymore.
No, not SoundCloud anymore. Yeah, we left that place.
It's just SoundCloud.
That's fine.
Stinks.
It'll be all right. Yeah.
But whatever other podcasting service you listen to us on, make sure to drop some words or a 5-star review. We really, really appreciate those. To everybody who has done that, thank you to everybody who has shared our content somewhere, somehow, across this vast and wonderful and sometimes terrifying internet of ours. We just want to say, namaste.
Namaste. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Court Lalando's in the chat. Lockleth is in the chat. Bowser is in the chat. We appreciate y'all. Leave us that like and subscribe before you head out. And again, tune into the main show tomorrow when it drops on your podcast feed. Huge Tears of the Kingdom review discussion. I'm going to go eat.
Tears of the Kingdom discussion. Yeah, go to sleep.
I'm going to go to sleep. All right. Love you, everybody. Bye.
See you guys. Have a great weekend.
We did it.